maybe say a little bit more, if it makes sense. Because you mentioned you were part of the community when you're the middle school teacher. You were part of the community. And if you could maybe speak about how that had an impact on you being a good math teacher.
Yeah, so I would say this. When I said I can talk a little bit about that school. I worked at a school. The name of the school was called an Achievable Dream Academy. It was housed in, again, the middle of Section 8 housing, and it was a K-8 school. And in that school, not only was it a school, but it was a center for social services in that community. And so any social services needs for that community, whether it's related to food stamps, whether it's related to any type of funding for, for families and things of that nature, all of those services were housed in the building in which the school I was working. And so, um, I think there was a sense of connection. One, I'm the oldest of 5 children, grew up in a single family home. And so many of those connections that I had with my students, probably because I'm the oldest of a group of siblings, that connection was there. But what it meant for me, I would say, um, is I was very comfortable, and I think the family members were very comfortable with, me kind of showing up at their homes or calling me, knowing that I would be in the building. I mean, there were days where parents would they knew my car, so they were like, "Oh, he's here," so I'm coming right in. And so I was very open to kind of, I had mothers sitting in my classroom, was like, "Okay, you come and just look at how he's acting a fool." And that's how I would talk sometimes to him. I mean, it was just kind of, it wasn't in a deficit way, but there was an affinity connection that was kind of authentic, where I could say, you know, come to check your kid out today. I don't know what was happening, last week or last night, but they were not themselves today. And I can honestly say that because they knew I was coming from a space that felt authentic. But the other thing I did as well was, we we were able to play. I had games in my classrooms all the time. We made up games. I mean, when I was younger, I made up games myself, right? I made up my own board games and things of that nature. And so in my class, one of the projects that we did is like, make up your board games, make up the rules, and I would actually say, and try to make your game up so that you can win every time. I mean, kind of, we did all kinds of, so yes, we taught the curriculum, but also because the other part of the school is that we were an extended day school as well. And so an extended day meant that we taught an extra hour during the day. So um, and we were all young teachers too. So and it's just as what wasn't me, but I was a part of a community of other teachers whom we were all similar in all aspects of our identities, where we just kind of we sometimes we wrote to work together. We interacted with one another. We knew which kid to send to whom. We like, one of the guys who taught with me, I was at the time I was sixth grade teacher. I think Darren was a third grade teacher. He cut hair. I was like, "Oh, you go down to Mr. Reed's classroom. You need a haircut." I mean, so we would. It was just that kind of energy, and I had not had that kind of energy. I had taught at other schools prior to going to that school, but that school stands out to me because I taught in other schools in Newport News, but that school stands out to me. One, because of not only the relationship with the community, but the relationship among teachers that we had as well. Um, the other thing that made this school uniquely different, not only social services, but the local community college offer GED classes and associates classes that can lead to an associate's degree. I think 2 degree programs. One was nursing, One was, I can't remember, one was, I think something in education, because we had a couple of parents who earned their associates and became paraprofessionals within our schools. And so you had this kind of community center in a community that serviced the entire community, from social services to education, and committed teachers. Now that I say this, that was the hardest job I ever had. And that school still exists today, I think, and it has all kinds of support, I think. But part of it is we were a relatively young teaching faculty, and as we got older, our personal selves became a part of it. So I couldn't, I had, my third year there, I got married. My fourth year, I think we had my son, my oldest son, excuse me, my oldest son. And then, it was just, I can't teach an extended day and be a parent and be a husband and be, so it was just that it was the demands of a job. And still, even with the extended day, still had to grade papers, had to do this, had to do all the things that teachers do. I'm teaching the extra hour and still having to do all those other things and still staying at school late. Just the demands was not sustainable. But I love that job too, right? I became a math specialist. So that job helped me get my master's degree as well. I should say that. I worked on my master's degree at a small university called Christopher Newport University. And I became the math specialist for this K-8 school. And so I was able to then not only support teachers, and Virginia math specialists are not kind of pull out people where they take kids and work with kids. Math specialists work with teachers. So I modeled lessons, I co-taught lessons, I helped write some lesson plans. So my last, I think, year or two, I was a math specialist. I helped them think about some of the issues that their students were having and how they can support. So my job as a math specialist, which may be defined differently in other spaces, was to work with the teacher, not necessarily doing pull out and working with kids who may need additional supports. There were other people who did that, but my job, being a K-8 math specialist, and working directly with the teachers.
Wow, it sounds like it was a really great school and experience. Thank you for sharing that with us.